Welcome to everyone. What is our discussion here today? It's about the demise of Prop 13 in California, what it means, the impact it can have, most importantly, what you can do about it. So as we all settle in here today, I want you to take just a moment to think about what drove you to join us here today. We greatly appreciate you spending some of your very valuable time with us. Why was this important to you? Do you own your home in California? Do you own rental property in California? Do you own a cabin in the mountains in California? Do you want to preserve it for your children? Do you want to preserve it for your grandchildren? If so, this presentation is absolutely crucial, and we're here to help. We have the knowledge and the experience to help you to protect your home and other property. That's what this presentation is about. Mike, what are we going to specifically talk about here today?
Well, it's a limited yet extremely powerful agenda. The focus, of course, as we've been saying, is on Prop 19, what it does to property taxes when there's a change in title when you pass away, its impact on the Prop 13 and Prop 58 protections that we've all been enjoying for so many years. And we're going to have some illustrations that show you, I mean, it's millions of dollars for individual families. You know, it's massive. So the very practical, very real illustrations, I think will make a great deal of sense to you and let you get your hands and your head around these issues. We're also going to talk about, we always talk about dynasty trusts because we tend to integrate them with every kind of planning. It's the secret to protecting assets from divorce lawsuits and estate tax exposure for your kids. Not for you, you set these up for the benefit of your kids. And what are the action steps? What are the steps we can take? The approaches that are viable that you need to know about and that we can take on your behalf. Relatively brief, but power-packed agenda for the day.
And a reminder, this is for educational purposes. We're lawyers, we got to say this is for educational purposes only. This is not legal advice. We can only provide you with legal advice if we're working with you one-on-one and know your whole situation. So we do want you to get a lot out of this, want you to spread the word from what you learned here today. And as we set the stage here today, I think you see a lot in the media all the time. I think we all react to this version of these types of headlines. How the rich avoid taxes. And it sounds kind of not fair, right? But the answer is actually really simple. How do the ultra wealthy or wealthy avoid taxes? Well, they get good advice. But there is no reason why this should be limited only to the ultra wealthy. If you have a home in California, if you have a rental property, if you have any assets, advice can help you too, no matter what. We serve clients across the spectrum, from just everyday normal families to CEOs and everything in between. And get advice, get that team together to work for your family. Be on the side that is using all the tools available to save your assets and avoid unnecessary taxes. Don't just get upset about it when other people do it. We want to empower you with that. Now, as we dive in, I want to spend just a moment introducing my co-presenter here today. I've known Michael Gilfix for over 40 years because he's my dad, and I've known him my entire life. It's probably pretty obvious from our names. Not many Gilfixes out there. If you are a Gilfix out there, say hello to us.
Particular welcome to you.
Yes, absolutely. Like someone on the East Coast. So just really briefly about Mike, for those of you who don't know him, and welcome, by the way, to members of our client community who are here, but I know some people don't know us yet. So I think it's important just to know really quickly that Mike is kind of a legend in the elder law and estate planning world. He really started the field in 1973 when he graduated from the Stanford Law School. He started America's first free legal aid program for the elderly, SALA, Senior Adults Legal Assistance. It still exists today, and he helped other attorneys throughout the country to start programs in communities all around America, and is directly and indirectly responsible for providing free legal services to thousands and thousands of older Americans and really creating the field of law that protects older Americans. And from that, he created, with my mom, Myra Gerson Gilfix and Francis La Poll, and a few years after, Gilfix and La Poll Associates, the firm that we're a part of here today. Co-founder of the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys. He wrote the book, Beat Estate Tax Forever. We co-authored a couple of books together. He's a national leader and speaker in the field. So it's my privilege to get to learn from him and present with him here today. So Mike, welcome.
Thank you, Mark. By the way, as everybody who has a kid can imagine, what a privilege and a pleasure it is for me to be working with Mark. to have him so able, so competent, and he's become a leader in the field of law. It's remarkable to watch. So Mark also went to Stanford as an undergrad. His degree was in the field of engineering. Management consulting experience at his law school. He was the graduation speaker chosen. It was a wonderful talk on generosity was the topic. He's done a lot of writing, a lot of speaking at national conferences. He is sought after. He's been on television, and his resume just keeps growing with some awards that he's received nationally as well. So, we work really hard. I think that's the point. We don't just coast and see who comes in the door. We're very proactive, and Mark's getting out there and doing his writing and his speaking is just exactly what we need, and frankly, what you need. It keeps us a step ahead. So thank you for that.
But yeah, we're passionate about education and spreading the word. And I think our firm, we're very proud of our heritage. Gilfix and La Poll Associates, we're based here in Palo Alto, but we serve clients throughout the state, especially with Zoom now. We serve people from San Diego all the way up to Wairika. We've been around for over 40 years, served thousands and thousands of families throughout the state of California, seen featured in the national media, the Wall Street Journal, USA Today. Our goal, as we say here, is to provide extraordinary value, peace of mind, and return on investment for what you spend with us. We want to deliver incredible value to the families with which we work. So on that note, let's dive into a mystery. And this will introduce us to the concept of what Prop 19 means for many of you here today. Let's talk about protecting the family home. Three different families. Well, let's Tom, Jill, and Andre. Let's imagine them starting off in the exact same place. They each own a $3 million residence, meaning the fair market value is $3 million. But each of them has owned their house for a long time. So Prop 13 has protected their assessed value used for property tax purposes. So the assessed value of this $3 million home that they all own is $300,000. They bought it a long time ago. And again, $3 million in some parts of California is not that nice a house. That's what blows my mind. But it's a lot of money. Each of them passes away and leaves the house to their daughter. Tom passes away in 2022. His daughter inherits it. She says, I don't want to live there. I'm going to rent it out. What happens? Property taxes go up from around $3,000 a year. That's what Tom was paying, to over $30,000 per year forever. Jill, same situation. Jill passes away. Identical tax situation. When Jill passes away, her daughter inherits it. She's, I'm going to live there. I'm going to live in mom's house. This is where there's a lot of there are many misconceptions. Property taxes go from $3,000 a year to over $20,000 a year. Just because her daughter's living in the house doesn't mean she's protected from a property tax increase. Andre, same situation. He passes away. His daughter takes ownership. Property taxes stay at $3,000 a year, saving over $300,000 over the next 10 years. Now, what's the mystery here? What's the different thing that Andre did that Jill and Tom didn't? Why are Jill and Tom's situations different? We're going to explore that in a second.
So now let's look at a situation where it's not the residence, it's a rental property, single family home, duplex, whatever it may be. Okay. So now we have a very different scenario because there's no protections whatsoever from reassessment. We had it under Prop 58, that's gone. Okay, Lance and Wim. It's a fourplex. The assessed value about $200,000, market value about $2 million. Lance passes away under new Prop 19. It's currently the law. Property taxes go from around $2,000 a year to over $20,000 a year indefinitely. Wim, same property, same values, but when he passes away, property taxes continue to be about $2,000 a year. And think about it, over 10 years, that's at least $200,000 in savings. I mean, that's dramatic. That could make the difference, by the way, in whether she can keep the property, whether the kid can keep the property or not. So what's the mystery? What did Wim do here? We'll revisit that.
Yeah, and to set the stage, our homes, right? So I said, again, it's actually referring, our homes are worth so much. If you're lucky enough to own a house in coastal California, really anywhere now, what's the value of your home? $2 million? $5 million? Is it worth more? The value is likely to double every 10 to 12 years. That's historically what's happened. Your home by itself, we're going to talk about estate taxes in a moment, but your home by itself could create estate tax exposures. You have to be cognizant of multiple issues. And Prop 19 created a huge new minefield. And And we can protect your home or your other properties, not only for your kids, but for your grandkids, for your nieces, for your nephews, and really for anyone you want to leave property for. And it's hard to wrap our minds around how valuable some homes are. You might not feel wealthy, but if you own property in certain parts of California, Southern California, Northern California, Central Coast, that's significant value, and with that comes significant tax issues.
So let's look at some numbers. Let's look at some numbers. These are average prices for properties in different communities. Palo Alto, about 3.6 million. I mean, that's reality. So many folks who live here in Palo Alto, they just deny it. I mean, it's so typical of so many folks. Oh, it can't be worth that much. Well, it is. It is. La Jolla, 2.5 million roughly. Los Altos, higher, little over 4 million. Average house price. Marin, 1.7 million. In different areas, of course, it varies, but the point is every property has gone up tremendously in value. Question is for you to think about, what is your current assessed value? Your home may be worth 3, 4, 5 million, but is your assessed value only 200,000? Is it 50,000 as we've seen from somebody recently, or where is it? Dramatically lower than the market value.
So how do you deal with these issues? Well, as Mike alluded to, real estate is likely your most valuable asset. Hope is not a strategy. That's from my management consultant days. Hope is not a strategy. Don't hope that there's a change in law in the future. Don't hope your situation changes. The stakes are so high, you don't want to sit back and wait to see what might happen. Because once you're stuck with a property tax increase, there's nothing, it's very, very challenging, if not impossible, to undo that. So Mike, why don't you lead us through what Prop 19 does specifically and why this is such a major change?
Sure. So let's just do the basics. And we're going to repeat some of these points once or twice as we proceed, because they're just so important for you to drink in and thoroughly understand. Okay. Before Prop 19 became law, before February 16, 2021, we had not just Prop 13, but we had Prop 58. And that's what gave us two other very powerful protections that are now eliminated. Okay. First of all, your residence before Prop 19 could be passed along to your kids. No property tax increase, whether they lived in it or not, regardless of value. I mean, tremendously beneficial to those who wanted to keep the property in the family. What about other property? Most other assets were also protected. Why? Because Prop 58 also said that up to $1 million in assessed value, not market value, assessed value could also be passed along to your kids. So actually, that's 2 million husband, wife, if you have a couple. So property could be the cabin, the rental, that could also be passed along without a property tax increase. Okay, after February 16, today, dramatic difference. If a child lives in the residence, $1 million of value is forgiven, but only $1 million. So it's not the case that if a child lives in the house, there's no property tax increase. Even though the San Jose Mercury published 2 articles saying that is the case, it is positively not the case. Other property, no exceptions. Rental property, the cabin, whatever it is, full reassessment, there's no exceptions. Dramatic change in law and in our family planning, whether you know it, well, you know it now. You know it now. So let's look at what Prop 19 doesn't protect for. When it was being debated and becoming law, we had a lot of discussions here about how devastating this can be for certain families. There should have been, but there are no exceptions for special needs kids. In other words, you have a child, somebody has a child who's special needs. They need to stay in that home. It's the only environment they've ever known. It's security for that child. No protections. If it's not the residence, complete reassessment, even though that house which you purchased for your child, even though it's going to be there for your special needs child, complete reassessment. There should be an exception there. There isn't. A life partner who is not a spouse or a domestic or a registered domestic partner. We have one recent situation where a couple lived together, and because of Prop 19, they got married. Because when one dies, there won't be a reassessment when the other acquires full ownership. There was going to be a reassessment. Okay. A low-income child, no protections, no forgiveness. If your kids really need to have that house to live in it, need is not protected. a sibling, a niece, a nephew, somebody other than the child, we have that partial exception. No exceptions whatsoever. Again, regardless of circumstances. So you might be thinking, oh, gee, there must be some simple ways around this because of my unique family circumstances.
Yeah.
Not the case. Should
Yep.
be, but it's not the case.
So now let's go back to the illustration of what this means in real terms. And we're using the example of remember, $3 million house. So Tom, Jill, and Andre each own a house worth $3 million with an assessed value of $300,000. So Tom and Jill, they end up with pretty bad outcomes. Why? They don't like working with professional advisors. They don't like lawyers. They don't like working with financial advisors. They just want to just do it themselves, see what happens. Tom passes away. His daughter inherits it and doesn't live in the house. She wants to make that house a rental. Well, zero protections, full reassessment of property taxes. If the house is worth $3 million, property taxes would actually go from $3,000 to about $36,000 per year. So property taxes are usually over 1% of the new fair market value when there's a reassessment. So massive increase. Jill, well, remember, her daughter moves into the house. So again, there's this misconception that a lot of people thought, well, if my kid lives in my house, property taxes won't go up, right? Wrong. Only $1 million of fair market value is protected. Now, if your house is worth less than $1 million, okay, protected. But in many communities in California, houses are worth far more than that. And in this case, there's $1 million in protection, but hey, the house is worth $3 million, right? So there's $2 million more or less that is exposed to a reassessment. So property taxes go from $3,000 a year to well over $20,000 per year in perpetuity. And they only go up from there. Because you do get 13 protections from there, they can still go up 2% a year, right? Andre, when he passes away, his daughter gets the house, whether she lives there or not. Property taxes stay at $3,000 a year. Why? Because they worked with us to use a Dynasty LLC process, which will go into the fact that it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. But the bottom line is they work with professional advisors who help them come up with a plan. They work with us. We have a plan to help them get the best of both worlds from a tax standpoint where we keep those taxes low. There are tools, there are approaches out there that can prevent that reassessment. And it's really as simple as that. Two families didn't do anything, one family did, worked with advisors. Let's talk about the rental property.
Yeah, and before this, let's emphasize very real numbers. That saves about $1 million over the daughter's lifetime. $1 million. I mean,
yep.
It's real money. It's real money. Okay, now the rental property. Remember Lance and Wim? Now we're talking about the property where there's no exceptions, no protections whatsoever. So Lance, assessed value, remember $200,000. Property taxes increased to over $20,000 a year. Wim, no property tax increase for his child. The savings easily a couple $100,000 over just 10 years. And why? What's the difference? Well, again, obviously, Wim took some planning steps. He got appropriate advice, implemented the advice, and the difference is absolutely dramatic.
So that brings us to how we help families with Prop 19. We have developed uniquely crafted solutions. You got to take action while you can, right? If there's something happens to you, or God forbid you pass away, or you transfer a property without taking these steps ahead of time, the opportunity is lost. And we want to emphasize, do not try this at home. This is not a step-by-step of here are the complicated steps to avoid the reassessment, because there is no one-size-fits-all approach. We're going to go through why there are a myriad of tax issues you have to be aware of ownership issues. But the bottom line is you can deal with this. There are solutions for it if you plan ahead, but it has to be well thought out. So one more mystery we're going to explore, the tale of supercharging a plan. So imagine, again, starting off in the same position, Larry and Wyatt. Both of them get from their parents $2 million. And it's a lot of money in the context of California real estate. Maybe it's enough to buy an okay home in some parts of California. So it's a lot of money, but we're not talking about multi-generational wealth or what we think of as multi-generational wealth. Each of them gets that $2 million. Both of them during their lives endure divorces, endure lawsuits. When Larry passes away, $2 million he got from his parents, gone. It's all gone. The divorce, the lawsuit, zero. So obviously nothing left for his kids from that. And obviously nothing there for his grandkids. Wyatt, on the other hand, $2 million comes for his benefit. He endures a divorce, lawsuit, same life. Imagine them living the same life, just different versions of it. But because of a different step that their parents took, Wyatt, his children end up with $6 million from that $2 million initial inheritance, and his grandchildren end up with $18 million.
Hey,
18
got that?
million.
The assumption, by the way, in these numbers is that the money is reasonably invested, not exorbitantly successful, but just sort of average, maybe 6-7% rates of return, and that the money is retained. But I mean, if that's done, $18 million, it's real numbers. The math works. Astounding, frankly.
Yeah, let's go to what we're talking about here. And this is something that would be done when we work with families on 19 or property tax planning. We will typically include this. If Prop 19 is not an issue for you, if you're not concerned about it, we still want to talk to you about this. You don't need to be doing Prop 19 planning for this to be part of your plan. I'd say the vast majority of our clients end up adding this tool that I'm about to talk about. You'll see why. The Family Protection Trust. It's generically known as a dynasty trust. Now, why does Bernie Sanders want to get rid of these? That's not a political statement. He's on the record saying that he doesn't think these trusts are fair, and maybe he's right. But we're not here to talk about what's fair or not. We're here to talk about the tools you can use for your family. There's a lot in the press about this. If you Google the term dynasty trust, you'll see all sorts of articles about them. They've been featured in the Wall Street Journal and all over the place. NPR did a story on this recently about how this is what the wealthy do to protect assets from multiple generations. Why? So here, imagine instead of, let's say you have 2 kids, you update your living trust. Instead of leaving assets to your son and your daughter, you would create a family protection trust for your son and a family protection trust for your daughter. You wouldn't leave them a penny. You would leave money instead to the family protection trust. Now, why would you do this? Well, divorces. I don't know what the current rates are. They're 40 or 50% of marriages end in divorce. If your child divorces and they inherit money directly and commingle it, it'd be lost to the ex-spouse. If you leave it to a family protection trust, those inherited assets are protected. They're separate. It's almost like a prenuptial agreement for your kid and for future generations. If your child is sued, if they inherit money directly, that's fair game in a lawsuit if they lose. If it's left to a family protection trust instead, there's protection. There's a barrier that makes it a lot harder to get to those assets. 3, when your children pass away, if you have grandchildren already, this is so powerful. And if you're expecting future grandchildren, so powerful. If your child inherits money directly and invests it reasonably well, that's all part of their taxable estate. So a small initial inheritance can end up being quite a bit of money. All of it can be exposed to estate taxes, depending on what laws are when your kid passes away. If you leave it to a family protection trust, none of it or almost none of it is exposed to estate taxes. All of it or almost all of it is protected from estate taxes when your child passes away and when it goes to your grandchildren. There's some limits to that, but that alone can save millions of dollars, even if you're not starting out with that much. And you might think, well, that this is great, Mark, but I don't want to tie my kids' hands. It sounds kind of complicated. Well, it doesn't have to be. If you allow it, if you feel good about your child's ability to manage money, they can be their own trustee and they can manage money for themselves and for their family. So you leave money in this trust, it lasts for about 100 years in California. So it's protection for 2 to 3 generations, like a prenuptial agreement for your kids, for your grandkids, and even for your great-grandkids. An extraordinary tool, and ultra wealthy families, ultra high net worth families have been doing this type of planning for decades. And there is no reason why this should be limited only to the ultra wealthy. I mean, yes, sir, we serve people in that category as well, but we also serve regular everyday families. There is no reason why you shouldn't have the ability to protect assets for your family as well. I had a call today, someone asked some of our clients, like, what level of assets do you need for this to be justified? Hey, if you have a house, you're justified, right? If you have some money in the bank, you're justified. Why not create multi-generational protections, like a lifelong insurance policy? So let's just briefly go back to this mystery, Larry versus Wyatt. Remember, Larry inherited money, ends up with nothing. Wyatt inherits money. His grandkids end up with $18 million. The simple difference, Larry inherited money directly when he got divorced. Big chunk of it went away. When he got sued, the rest of it's gone. So there's nothing there for his kids, and of course, nothing there for his grandkids. Wyatt, on the other hand, $2 million was left to a family protection trust for his benefit. A lawsuit, they didn't go after this money. The divorce, the money stayed on his side. It grew just reasonably invested, became 6 million when he passed away. Remember, there was estate tax protection at that point. It goes to his grandkids. By the time his kids passed away, it went to his grandkids, $18 million. These are not exaggerations of the impact these trusts can have when we really look ahead. So just imagine what's possible for your family, what you can do to provide them that safety net if you set these up ahead of time. And let's just circle back to the impact of Prop 19. Just circling that thing again, we're talking about 7-figure differences in taxes if you do Prop 19 planning versus not doing that. So combine these two together and just imagine what we can accomplish for your family. So as we kind of tie this together, Mike, any thoughts about how families should think about this?
Well, I hope everybody's just understanding that this is everybody's issue. If you own property, it's not, oh, mine isn't valuable enough to think about. The value of our property just keeps going up. The vast majority, we counsel and talk with so many people, the vast majority want to keep the property in the family. And, history teaches us it's a good investment. But beyond that, I mean, forget investment. It's a family legacy, the family home, the assets you spent a lifetime building, to watch that go, or to know that it's going to go away because of a tax issue. I mean, that's devastating, psychologically and in terms of our family values. So, that's why we emphasize and reemphasize the value and the impact of this kind of planning. Return on investment, you can think of in terms of dollars. You can also think of it in terms of your energy and your family values. I think they should be measured in that way as well. I do.
And again,
I do.
While we do work with the ultra high net worth families, but these tools are not just for the upper echelons. Everybody can benefit from this if you have any assets that you want to protect. The need for integrated planning.
So again, we reemphasize, you can't just learn of one or two steps and do something about property tax. You have to think about all of the other tax issues that we've already alluded to, and that exists for the vast majority of us in this community, whether we like it or not. It's a good thing, but let's be clear, by the way, these tax problems are wonderful problems, right? They exist because we have assets. So we hug those problems. We're not afraid of them. We embrace them and we deal with them. And that's the challenge and that's the opportunity. So all of your documents need to take all of these factors into account. They need to be coordinated. They need to be integrated. So it's not just Prop 19 planning. That's looked at. We analyze that. We think about that in the context of all of these tax issues, your objectives, family values, bring it all together. And that's why I say about it, when we're asked what we do, I say that we take care of families. I don't say we do tax or trusts. We do, but we take care of families. And if this isn't the perfect illustration of that objective, nothing is.
And let's just circle back to the estate tax issue. The storm is coming.
Yeah. So see, you can't relax. You heard from us and from others, the level of protection right now is so high. It's like over $12 million per person. That's the amount you can die with and have no exposure to the 40% estate tax. Well, again, it's going to come down dramatically. The level of protection is coming down as the value of I know what's going on with the stock market. I do, but the value of our real property is going up relentlessly. And the market, I believe most of us believe will come back. Okay, so we have to think, don't take a snapshot of today and think there's no estate tax exposure. Fast forward to 2026, 2028, 2030, all of these factors have to be taken into consideration, have to look forward. My book, Beat Estate Tax Forever, identifies so many of the strategies that we utilize. If you haven't obtained a copy, it's available through our office. It's on Amazon. For our clients, it's free. Let us know. It's a good, I believe it's very readable and very understandable to think about all of these issues. So please do.
And key, don't wait. If these are issues, lock in protection while you still can. If you miss the opportunity and something happens to you, these protection opportunities are gone. We've already helped hundreds of California families with Prop 19 planning and property tax planning, work with thousands of families when it comes to overall estate planning and asset protection planning over multiple generations. And we'd love, of course, to get the opportunity to help you with this. We want to emphasize our firm is not just Mike and I. We have an incredible team. Nick Klingenberg, Renee Conrad, excellent estate planning attorneys at we work with together on a daily basis. We all work together on cases as a team. Francis La Poll, our tax guru, who really has been the driving engine behind our property tax solutions. Of course, Mike. We have a litigation team as well if you have those issues. But we're a team. And when you work with one of us, you're really working with all of us and the knowledge that we all have. It's been my privilege to learn from the best in the business. So I feel like I've been doing this for about 10 years, but I feel like I have 30 or 40 years of experience because we just focus on estate planning, tax planning, special needs, planning for families, legal planning for families. So should you meet with us, and of course, we would invite you to join our client community. Well, ask yourself 3 questions. Do you own a home or rental property in California and do you want to leave it for future generations? If you just want to sell it, or if you're sure your kids are going to sell it right away, hey, maybe you're not so worried about it. But if you want to even give them the option of holding on to these properties without extremely painful increases in property taxes, we have to look at these options. Are you concerned about property taxes? Are you concerned about estate taxes? I want to just make sure you have a team of advisors that's helping you to think about this as it all comes together. You should meet with us. Do you hope to protect assets for future generations? Divorce, lawsuits, things like that, we can help with that as well. I want to flag, we are doing almost every week new webinars. So you can gilfix.com for more information. Subscribe to our Gilfix Law YouTube channel. You can go to YouTube, search Gilfix Law. But I think most importantly, don't miss this opportunity to protect your home, your real property for future generations. We have a lot of other content about other subjects. If nothing else, I should let you know that we think about this day and night. This is what we do. We don't practice in a bunch of other areas of law and do this on the side. We focus on helping families. That's their core estate plan, their trust, powers of attorney, advanced directives, and it's asset protection, property tax issues, estate tax issues, and all of this. You just feel a little overwhelmed and want to just explore how we can help you, we'd be thrilled to get the chance to meet with you and work with you. Join our client community, contact us. If you want us to reach out to you, you can enter your contact information in the Q&A function if you're watching this live, and we'll get your information. We'll reach out to you. You can also call our office at 650-493-8070. You can go to gilfix.com, contact us, or we have a special page also, gilfix.com/myneeds, where you can check some boxes for some areas where you'd like information or guidance. And we would love to get the chance to work with you. Don't wait. Spread the word about this. We know that only a tiny fraction of families who are going to be affected by this understand it. And a lot of our clients say, hey, oh my gosh, I sent your webinar to like 10 of my friends, and then half of them end up becoming clients of ours. People just don't know that this is an issue. You know, it's off the radar. There's so much going on in the world, so much that we can't control. Let's control what we can. So we'd love to get the chance to work with you and your family and to help you to protect everything you work so hard for. Don't let it all. Don't leave it up to chance. There's so much we can do. So I think on that note, we're going to go to just a couple questions, but please reach out to us. We'd love to get the chance to work with you. Mike, any thoughts before we go to questions?
No, I think we've made our point. It's an invitation to take action and just have tremendous protective impact. I am surprised. I probably shouldn't say, but I'm really surprised at the hesitancy that some folks experience when they think about this planning, because it's a substantial set of steps. It is complicated, but that's what life takes to be successful. Success is complicated. It always is. It takes effort. So we just hope this will get you out of your malaise and get you thinking very protectively and proactively.